Hello and welcome. You're tuned into Buy Now, Sell Now on ET Now. I'm Shrishti Sharma and with me as always is Cheryl D'Souza. And viewers, this is the show where you get answers for all your stock-related queries. In a short while from now, we will connect with our experts. But before that, let's have a quick look what the markets are up to. So Cheryl, like we were discussing below just yesterday, that there has been a recovery in the markets, and indeed yet again we are seeing the Nifty at least is recovering right now, and even the broader markets are holding decently well today.
Absolutely. A very good morning to you, Shrishti. And like we said, yes, we've been holding out when we compare ourselves to the global peers or the way how the global markets have been panning out. It was actually quite a sharp decline coming in for the US markets in yesterday's trading session. Today, the similar picture was actually seen in the Asian markets as well. But now our Indian markets, despite starting the day on a weak footing, has seen some sort of a recovery creeping in, 4% downtick coming in for Nifty, but not as stark and as steep that the GIFT Nifty was indicating for our markets of about 200 points cut. That's not the way how it's transpiring as of now. About 99 points cut coming in for Nifty, but it's Nifty Bank that's taking it really easy in trade today. Axis Bank definitely is weighing heavy on Nifty Bank as well on back of its earnings. 6% downtick coming for Axis Bank, making it the top loser on the Nifty as well. And the advanced decline right now neck to neck. Let's talk about the list of gainers and the losers. Then you have Tata Motors that's in focus. There has been an upgrade coming in for Tata Motors, and one of the reasons why the stock is actually the top Nifty gainer in trade today, seeing an uptick of as much as 5% now at the day's highest point as we speak. Talk about ONGC, BPCL, L&T as well as SBI Life among the other set of gainers in trade today. While on the flip side, did mention about Axis Bank being the top loser on the Nifty, but you also have Shriram Finance, ICICI Bank, Titan, Tata Steel among the list of losers. Add to that list ITC as well, that is seeing a very weak move in trade today. Let's talk about the sectoral indices. What's the picture there right now? You have oil and gas that's holding on to good gains. You have auto sector that's seeing an uptick about 0.7% or so. While on the flip side, metal is the top sectoral loser in trade right now. It's down about 1.4%, 1.2% as we speak. You have PSU Bank, IT, all of them taking a bit easy, and you have the broader markets that are trying to recover in trade today. So that's the way how the markets are looking like at this point in time. Let's quickly take a look at what the VIX is doing, because VIX is seeing an uptick of about 9% as we speak. So that's the way how the markets are looking like at this point in time, Shrishti, and the trend of the recovery and being more matured continues for the Indian markets at least.
Well, certainly, that's the way that the markets are panning out right now. We are amidst the earnings session as well, so a lot of stock-specific action on that front as well. But with this, without any further delay, let's move on and let's connect with our experts then to get your stock-related queries answered. And viewers, you can connect with us live on the WhatsApp number that will be flashing on the top of your screen throughout the show. And today, to answer your queries, we have two of our very special guests. Kunal Bothra is joining us on the technical front, as well as we have Lancelot to guide us fundamentally. A very good morning to both of you, and thank you so much for your time. Let me take the first query that is coming in from Mala from Coimbatore. And Lancelot, if you can help her with your take on Glenmark Life Sciences, the results due today, and she has already entered at a price of 823 rupees. What to do in this particular stock, and what is the outlook going ahead?
I think the outlook is definitely looking much better because Glenmark Life Sciences has, arrived at a couple of good molecules, and there are seeing some amount of outsourcing that will happen in terms of licensing. So that revenue should actually beef up the performance going forward, as well as earnings will look to see some improvement once the licensing deals are completed. Having said that, I think the pharma sector is more like a defensive space, and one can look at accumulating, stocks like Glenmark Life Sciences and hold on to them as part of your overall portfolio.
All right, so that's the view coming in on the counter. Very good morning to you, Lancelot, as well as good morning to you, Kunal. And let's continue taking the queries then. And this next one is coming in from Diman, who's writing to us from Kolkata. And he wants to know what's the future prospect of Coastal Corporation. He wants to enter for the long term at this point in time. And the three factors that according to him, Lancelot, are in favor of the counter. One is the Andhra Pradesh and the focus on exports and shrimp business. Also, Finance Minister strong focus on that particular segment as well in the budget speech as well. We saw actually the mention for shrimp, and also you saw about the various other measures that are coming in for at least feedstock as well. So what's your view on this? Coastal Corporation, do you think a strong bet on that particular front given that theme, or do you think there are other better bets to look at?
Have coverage on this company, so I really can't give you an idea about whether one should make an investment or not in this company since I don't have coverage on it.
Coastal Corp, you don't. But what about your take on Avanti Feeds, or have you checked on that particular counter by any chance? Avanti Feeds, or
Yeah,
for the
so
matter of fact, Water Base?
correct. I think Avanti Feeds is definitely an option one can look at. Of course, in the last 2 weeks, the stock has moved up considerably, on the back of the really announcements for the rural play in the budget. But I think from a longer term perspective, if one looks at this particular space, the agricultural based industries are going to see a fillip on the upside. So we've seen good amount of movement in terms of, or we anticipate higher profits coming from companies like Avanti Feeds, Godrej Agrovet, and even the water base should be seeing much better results going forward. And so these do remain as opportunities to buy and add into the portfolio, given that we will see probably rural India playing out much better as compared to maybe the urban consumption theme. There will be a significant improvement in companies depending on or looking at rural consumption growth going forward.
All right, then moving on, let me take the next query, and Kunal, let me take it from you. This one is coming on RPG Life Sciences, where Pradeep is holding 20 shares at a price of 790 rupees, and consistently over the quarters we have seen the company delivering very good set of numbers, and just after the numbers in the last week, we have seen no stopping for this one. So what to do in this one? If continue to hold on, which targets to look out for?
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic chart because in the last 3 years or so, I think I remember tracking the stock when it was almost at 500, 550 approximately, and I think from there the stock has moved up almost 4x. So, and I think major part of the gains in terms of higher volumes has happened in the last few weeks, where the stock has moved from 1500 to 2000 plus in just the last few weeks. So I think it's been an exceptional run for the stock, but this also indicates that there is more longer term trend on the upside for these names. I would probably believe that these are the kind of stocks which get into a strong breakout move on the monthly charts, and they go into a very slow gradual uptrend for themselves. I would believe that those trends, they last for longer duration of time. So I think you should continue to be bullish on the stock. If you're looking at maybe some booking out partial profits, then maybe we just book out 20-25% of your existing holding as profits. So that would help you trail the stop losses significantly, and then get back into a zone where you can continue to hold on to these stocks even if there is a minor bit of volatility in between.
This one is coming in from Ramki, who wants to know what's the outlook for KIMS Hospital stock that's in line with what the Supreme Court had directed on price rationalization in private hospitals. I think it's been a while for this one, but what's your take on KIMS Hospitals in particular? Lancelot, do you track this one? And I believe this one is in a niche category, isn't it?
Unfortunately, I don't track this one as well. So I unfortunately can't give you a much update on this stock as well.
No problem. Kunal, on the charts, KIMS, do you think its prospects look bright? A 6% up move only in the last 3 months, but do you think it's an attractive level? What have the charts been indicating? I know you will have limited chart history.
No, in fact, the chart history is quite good. I think it's 2021, since the stock was almost at 1000 rupees or slightly around those 1000 odd mark. I think from there the stock has done pretty well for itself. Now these are typically low to moderate beta kind of stocks, so we don't expect these stocks to give you a flurry of returns or a very high above average returns for themselves. But then short term charts, the patterns are quite attractive. I think 2 days back or 3 days back, the stock has given a golden crossover where the 50 DMS crossed about the 200-day moving average. This in the last two such instances when the stock had given such kind of a breakout, we've seen the stock moving up higher and going into a multi-month uptrend. So I would probably believe that it's a good time where you should look to hold on to the stock. And I think if the trend shapes up pretty well, we may be looking at the stock hitting even fresh highs for itself for the medium to long term.
All right, that's the take coming in on Kim's. But the next query that I have is coming in on Power Meg. Kunal, if you could quickly check the charts of Power Meg. Mayank Saraf is holding 500 shares, buy price is 5,000 rupees, but he wants a view for the next 2 years.
Well, I think it's a fantastic chart. It's a it's a compounding name over the last 10 years or so. So I think looking at the last 2020 odd support for Power Mech when the stock was I think 350 400 odd levels or thereabouts towards the point when the stock is now at 6,000 plus mark. It's been a fantastic compounder. The volumes have been consistent. Trends are also quite strong. If you are holding on to the stock, I don't see any reason why you should be looking to exit your holdings over here. In case you are looking to book out profits over here and then maybe trying to time it again in terms of buying back at lower levels, that's the only case where I would suggest to book profits. Other than that, I would suggest continue to hold on. And if possible, I think, as I said, if in case the stock gets into a mild correction as well, you can continue to add also further from a long-term play.
All right, this next one is coming also for you, Kunal. Sharmista from Kolkata wants to know about ICICI Bank. She has 500 shares at a price of 1,150 rupees per share. She wants to know what's the target for ICICI Bank for the next 6 months?
See, the concern for the banks and as an overall sector, private sector banks, is that it's a rotation which is playing out, sector rotation. And that's why many of the private sector banks are facing a lot of resistance on the upside. I think ICICI Bank spent a lot of time at the 1230, 1240 mark, but then it's unable to scale past about those levels, which means that the stock is going into a reversal. In case if the trends start off again for ICICI Bank, I would probably believe that 1240, 1250 could be capped as a near-term upside. So if you are asking me about the next 3 to 6 months, I would initially first expect the stock to maybe drag down a bit more, say 1130, 1150 odd range is where I would expect the stock to test on the downside. And whenever the recovery starts off, then I think 1240, 1250 could be a target which you can look out for.
All right, Lancelot, the next query that I have is coming in on NHPC. Krishna Kumar from Chennai is holding the share from a price of 113 rupees. Quickly, if you can help him what to do in this one, we have Nestle earnings as well to address.
So while the long-term business model actually looks good because there is a focus on renewable energy and hydro is one of the areas where putting up small hydro projects has been the focus area of the government, especially in areas like Northeast. And a lot of these projects are long gestation, so the gestation period is over, and now you're seeing greater amount of power generation coming in from NHPC. So from a growth perspective, earnings is expected to grow as well as the volumes are expected to grow. However, from a valuation perspective, the stock has really risen significantly over the last 12 months. And given that valuations are a little bit stretched, it's always a good time to either, if you're holding a larger quantity, book some profits, or if you're not holding enough and you want to add more to your portfolio, wait for a further correction. And maybe at lower levels, one can keep adding to it from a long-term growth perspective.
Welcome back. You're watching Buy Now, Sell Now on ET Now. Let's continue taking all of the stock-related queries then that have been trickling in. And this one is actually coming in from Vishal, who's writing to us from Dubai. He wants to know about Borosil Renewables. He has it in his portfolio at the price of around 623 rupees per share, Lancelot. Along with that, he has Praj Industries at a price of around 434 rupees per share. He wants to know whether it's good time to average and continue to hold on to this counter. What sort of strategy do you think that he should adopt for both of them? Though for Borosil Renewables is tad bit below his buy price, Praj has been good.
As far as Borosil Renewables is concerned, while the company seems to have a good growth trajectory in terms of its business outlook, the valuations really are extremely expensive and one should wait. Maybe he got in at a high price, and maybe if the stock does drop, between say 10 to 15% lower from here, then one should start beginning to look to accumulate some of the stock for the long term. As far as Praj Industries is concerned, I think the stock has also recently run up while they are focused on the renewable space, and there has been some announcement of increased ethanol blending in petrol, etc. From a perspective of valuations, the stock has moved up and values are looking a little bit high at this point in time. So either you should look at booking profits there, because he is making good profit in his trade, and then wait for the stock to correct before again accumulating some of the stock.
Let me take this next query then. This one is coming from Venkata Pavan, who's writing to us from Bangalore, software engineer at the age of 43 years old. He's saying that he's a long-term investor with relatively higher risk, is what he's saying. But he has Bharat Dynamics, average price is 1,646 rupees per share. He's currently with a 15% loss. HAL at a price of around 5,486 rupees per share, at a loss of about 12%. And given the fact that looks like his buy price was a little bit on the higher end of the price band, Kunal, what's your take on both of them, Bharat Dynamics and HL? He is in loss with both of them.
See, I think first thing is having a longer term time frame is a very good strategy when you're looking at trying to encash or ride the entire trend from a longer term play. But then the price at which you buy also matters quite a lot, because if for example, the likes of PDL, HL, we've bought them at the higher end of the price trend for themselves when the stocks were going all guns blazing in terms of momentum on the short term charts. Now that the stocks have gone to a corrective phase, that's where I think the risk reward starts to look a lot more attractive for these names. So ideally, in a longer term scenario, I think these are the pockets and these are the entry points which we look out for in terms of buying stocks or recommending stocks on a long term basis. I would suggest that if you can and if you have a longer term time horizon, I would believe that starting from current levels and maybe another 5% to 10% of a dip from current levels, I think that's where should be the 2 points where you should be looking to average both of these stocks. They are hold from long term play, but because you've entered at the steep prices, I would believe averaging out at lower levels could be a better strategy to offset that.
All right, so that's the take coming in on the counters or HL and Bharat Dynamics. Just a quick note of Nestle, because the volume growth number is coming, and what sources have told ET now that the volume growth is around 1% versus in poll of around 3 to 4% volume growth that we were expecting for Nestle India. And there you go, the stock is now back in that sharp negative territory, 1.5% downtick coming for Nestle India as we speak, because the volume growth that we are also picking up from our sources is the fact that it's coming at only just 1% versus ET Now poll. I stand corrected, ET Now poll of around 4 to 5% volume growth. The stock is lower by about 1.5%. On that note, we slip into a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue taking your query. Viewers, don't go anywhere. Welcome back. You're watching Buy Now Sell on ET Now. Let's try and take as many queries as possible. And just a quick apology to all of our viewers. It's earnings season and we are swamped with earnings non-stop, where there's global, whereas local, and a lot of management commentary and as well as take coming in from the management as well. So apologies for that we've not been able to take as many queries as possible. But let me try to squeeze in as much as I can. And this one is coming from Payal Dhera, and she wants to know about Reliance Power. Is there any future target for this one in the long term? One of the reasons why Lancelot Payal is asking, and I have a lot of viewers also who've asked in the past about Reliance Power, given the fact that a lot of news flows, the fact that they have been able to clear some debt or so. So what's your take coming on Reliance Power? Do you think its time is ripe to look at this one, or give it a pass still?
This point in time, it still requires, a pass at this moment, because, the stock had run up considerably while they are in the mode of restructuring their businesses, paring down debt, and you are seeing better realizations on power and also better power generation capacities. It still is a while before the stock can justify the valuation that it is going at, given that, earnings is going to be at least a couple of years away before they can match the expectations on based on which the price it is trading at. So at this point of time, definitely it does look like a pass. Maybe if there's a change in the next quarter or two, then one can relook at that situation.
Talk about the fundamentals of this particular counter. Kunal, what are the charts indicating for Reliance Power to you?
I'll definitely suggest a hold as well as a buy even at current levels. My sense is that, so of course, the disclaimer is that it's a high beta stock and you have to be very wary of the kind of volatility the stock would probably get into on a time to time basis. But the charts are looking quite strong. Over the last 6 months, we've seen a triangular pattern getting formed for our power, and whenever the stock breaks out that 34-35 band, say if it happens in the next 6 months, 1 year, very difficult to try and forecast that, but whenever that breakout happens for the stock, it would open much more higher target legs for the stock over the long to much longer term. So I would probably suggest a hold on the stock at current levels.
Right, that's a hold coming in on Reliance Power, and we also had the fundamental as well as the technical take. But moving on to the next query, and this one is coming in on JSW Infra. Lancelot, let me take it from you because Pramod AS is already holding the stock from a price of 150 rupees. He's having 500 shares. What is the outlook for the next 2 to 3 years, and can he continue to hold on?
I think the outlook is good. The JSW Infra has gained substantial orders in the last quarter, as well as in the last year. There has been an improvement in execution capability, which is leading to increased EBITDA as well as increased profitability. The outstanding debt has also got paid off a bit. So given that there is a growth in the business and debt is under control, the risk is a lot less going forward. And we expect that the government is going to focus on infrastructure space, so there is going to be opportunity for growth in terms of bagging new orders. And given that background, yes, one should continue to hold on to the stock. If one wants to add to the positions, then maybe one should wait for a little bit of correction and add on dips.
Come from B. Vara Prasad. He's writing to us from Hyderabad. Kunal, 300 shares of Canara Bank purchased at the levels of 116 rupees per share. He wants to know whether he can buy some more, that's about 200 shares at current market price for a long-term investment.
I would suggest so. I would suggest that it's a good stock where you should look to add more. And the best part is that it's trying to retrace back towards its 200-day moving average, closer to 100 and I think 3 or 104 is the 200-day moving average, and it's come very close to that kind of a level. So I think it's a good price, good level where you can look to add further and keep some powder dry in case if there is any kind of a terminal correction towards 103, 104 mark, which is exactly the 200-day moving average, you can add further.
Kunal, once again coming to you because Srinivasan from Chennai wants your advice on IOC. He's already holding 800 shares. Buy price is 171 rupees. What's the outlook maybe for the next 6 months? Can he go ahead and accumulate more at this price point?
I definitely think so. I'm very bullish on the entire OMC pack. I think BPCL is something which I've been recommending over the last few weeks. And my sense is that the stock is going through a major triangular pattern breakout. So, and we've seen that 3 of these, OMC stocks, BPCL, IOC, HPCL, they move in tandem. There are points where, one of them outperforms, the other underperforms with a very marginal kind of a relative price difference. But I believe net the direction for all 3 of the stocks, they tend to be very similar. So I would suggest in that anticipation, would suggest a buy as well as a hold on IOC. If possible, look to add BPCL as well.
Alright, Jagdish from Bangalore has written to us, Lancelot. He wants to know about Blue Box. I don't know if you tracked this one, 100 shares at 408. And apart from that, he has Texmaco at around 288 rupees per share. Wants to know whether he should stay put with these or look to exit.
Don't track Blue Box, but Texmaco Rail is a good company. One should definitely look at it. Given that we are seeing expansion in terms of its order book from the railways, they have been market leaders in manufacturing for the railways, and they have substantial share from the railways as well. So one should look at staying invested in Texmaco, and if there's any kind of decline, then one can add to your positions.
All right, taking the next query, and Lancelot, what's your take on RBL Bank? Chandra Shekhar wants to know that now is the good time to enter this particular stock. The stock was in news flow as well after the block deal. So what's your take on this one?
So I think the entire banking space is going to play out in terms of the stronger players are going to benefit. And while it appears that there has been a correction in the price of RBL Bank, so there is an opportunity to look at investing in this bank. I think one should look at the overall risk return and look at better opportunities. Like for example, there is a Kotak Bank which is trading in hardly 2 times book and is focused on technology. The results were also pretty good. So I think as an option, if one has to look at either in putting money into RBL Bank or a Kotak Bank, I would go with say something like a Kotak Bank, and that's what one can look at doing.
Kunal, quickly, this one's coming from Arvind Reddy. He's writing to us from Hyderabad. He's taken a swing trade with about 200 shares of NCC at a price of 239 rupees per share. He wants to know, should he hold on to the counter or look to book profits now?
Hold on.
Hold on, okay. All right, so that's quickly coming in on NCC, and we'll take a quick break and we'll come back and address more of your queries on the other side. Welcome back. You're watching Buy Now Sell Now on ET Now, and let's try. We'll take your queries now in the rapid fire form. Let me take this one. Come from Sridhar. Sorry, it's writing to us from Coimbatore. ITC Kunal 100 shares at a price of 498 rupees per share. He wants to know the time and the rate of exit for a positional trade.
The higher the time, the higher the rate.
All right, the next query that I have is coming in from Krishna from Chennai. And Kunal, any of your top bets coming in from the IT space right now?
Infosys, you can look at current levels. You can also look at adding on to Tech Mahindra at current levels. Of course, the result is due for that stock.
All right, this one is coming from Reshnama Bhatia. Wants to know about TTML. Doesn't have the stock in the portfolio, but does it make sense to buy this one at current levels? What's your take, Lancelot? Tata Teleservices. Lancelot?
Pardon?
Sorry, Tata Teleservices, does it make sense for someone to buy right now?
No, not at all.
All right, Lancelot, your take on Aditya Birla Capital. Dr. Tejaswini is holding the stock from a price of 226 rupees. What's a long-term view on this one?
I think long-term view is to hold on to the stock, because over a period of time we will see lower interest rates benefit, and the company is deepening its distribution in the financial services space. So long-term it should hold on.
Now Ramesh wants to know about Yes Bank, 4,600 shares at a price of 32.5 rupees per share. He's a long-term investor. What's the strategy here?
Exit on rally is closer to 26-27.
All right, Lancelot, what's your take coming in on Cochin Shipyard, where Srinivas wants to know, is this the right time to buy, maybe for the next 1 year?
No, not the right time to buy.
All right, Ravi wants to know about Indus Towers, 426 is a buy price, 100 shares. What sort of a target in the short term, Kunal?
455 to 460 could be a target for the next 3 months.
All right, Kunal, your take on BEML. Srinath wants to know, can he buy the stock right now for a short-term trade?
4,000, 4,050 could be a better level to buy.
All right, with that we come to the end of the rapid fire. Thank you so much, Kunal, as well as Lancelot, for joining us on the show and taking our queries, as many as we could actually try and fill in on this edition of Buy Now, Sell Now. But like I said, viewers, that we have earnings trickling in, a lot of earnings coming in, and now we are joined by the management of Thyrocare. Remember, this particular counter has been seeing a strong gain over the last few trading sessions on back of its earnings. Yesterday, the stock was trading high above 15%. We now have Rahul Guha, who is the MD and CEO of the company, joining us. A very good morning to you, Rahul. Thank you so much for joining us on ET Now. And there's been significant improvement in your margins in the quarter gone by. If you could tell us, how much of that improvement was actually price-led growth this time around?
Overall, the normalized margin has been stable actually for the last few quarters. Most of the impact that you're seeing on the reported EBITDA is because of the ESOP charge. So I wouldn't say there's anything specific we've done. It is just that as the ESOP charges come down, you're seeing it in the reported EBITDA. Normalized margin, as I've always been guiding, is more or less stable, and we expect to keep it that way.
All right, Rahul, this is Shrishti also joining in. First of all, congratulations on a great set, but just wanted to get more sense on the price hikes, because industry-wide we are seeing that the other players are also taking price hikes. But what is up with Thyrocare in the quarter gone by? Any price hikes that the company has taken, or do you have any future plans to take some?
Our stated strategy is to be the most affordable player for diagnostics. So we don't anticipate taking price hikes over the remaining part of this year. We will remain continued focused on volumes.
All right, so let's shift now focus to the volume growth. And what sort of volume growth are you expecting? Can we expect a double-digit volume growth in Q2 and beyond as well, given the fact that we've seen a sharp recovery in your earnings anyways?
Yes, we're seeing healthy recovery in volumes, primarily because the competition is easing. Many of the players that entered in the post-COVID or COVID era have realized that it's not so easy to be in the diagnostic sector. So I'm definitely seeing an easing in competition, and that is going to give our volumes a boost. And you've already seen it in the first quarter, and I think most listed players are seeing good volume growth come back. And we are very encouraged by that as well.
Also, Rahul, we do see that the company is on the expansion spree, but tell us more that going ahead, what are your expansion plans and what role franchisee and partnership models could play?
I think we will continue to expand on both fronts. Of course, our franchisee business, we have tripled our franchisee numbers over the last 2 years. So I'm very encouraged that franchisees feel that they can build a successful business with Thyrocare, and we are the partners of choice for them. And we will continue to maintain the focus on that. But as you can see, the base, if I compare to about 2,500, 3,000 2 years ago, is already 8,000. So we have a very large base now. So of course, expanding it at that rate will be difficult. I'm also very encouraged by our partnerships business. We found very strong partners, particularly in the health tech, healthcare, and insurance segments, who have found that Thyrocare is their partner of choice. We are able to give them collection services and processing services in 300 plus cities with a single point of contact. And that is working out very well with us. So as I guided in the investor call also, I expect the franchisee business to roughly be in the early double digit to mid teens. And I expect my partnership business to grow higher than the teens.
All right, Rahul, you've recently undertaken the acquisition of Polo Labs diagnostic and pathology business. If you could tell us any more acquisition that's on the cards that one can expect from Thyrocare, any ticket size, geography, anything that you can give us a hint on?
I would hesitate because, these are all, competitive deals. So I wouldn't go into the details, but I will share with you that we are looking at geographies where we are weak. So Polo Labs fit very well with us because we were very weak in Punjab. We are weak in Andhra Pradesh. We are weak in Gujarat. We are weak in Rajasthan. So these are the areas where we are actively looking for acquisitions.
Then we leave it there. Thank you so much, Rahul, for joining us on the show and talking about your earnings and the growth prospects that you're expecting going ahead. And that was the management of Thyrocare, fourth consecutive day of gain coming in for that counter. But on that note, we are saying goodbye to you on this edition of Buy Now, Sell Now. So it's a goodbye from Shrishti, myself, and team put the show together. Stay tuned. Markets and Noon coming up next.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.